Hey church fam, it's Krystal, and I'm so stoked to be with you in our Daily Hope Devo today. We're in Joshua 11, and I love devotionals because sometimes I read chapters in the Bible and it takes me a while to figure out, digest what's going on, what God's trying to teach me. So sometimes in Joshua and in the Old Testament, there's a lot of battles, a lot of war, and we've got to take a second and break it down and figure out what's going on. So Joshua 11, I want to go through the first 6 verses with you today. And if you remember in chapter 10, God has Joshua conquer the cities of the south, right? They're in the promised land. They have to conquer these kings. And in the very first couple of verses in chapter 11, we see all these kings and these territories. And God mentions that these kings need to die by the sword because they're not following the Lord. So Joshua is sent to conquer all of these kings in the north. And the kings in the north notice what happened in the south. And they're like, okay, Joshua just went and defeated all of these areas and took these kings one by one by one. And the kings in the north were like, hold on, let's all gather together in the same location. All of us get all of our resources and go up against Joshua. And so in verse 4, it says, they came out with all their troops and a large number of horses and chariots, a huge army, as numerous as the sand on the seashore. And all of the kings joined forces and made camp together to fight against Israel. So I would be nervous if I was Joshua because they are outmanned, they are outgunned, they shouldn't really stand a chance. And that's the next thing that God addresses is God knows that Joshua is fearful. So he says in verse 6, do not be afraid of them. By this time tomorrow, I will handle all of them and slain it over to Israel. You then should hamstring their horses and burn their chariots. So I think it's interesting that every battle with God is different, right? Because he has had them win victories different ways. And the way that he told them to defeat the south was different than the way he said we're going to handle the north. And Joshua was probably panicked, but he had this promise from God that, look, by this time lunch tomorrow, the deed will be done and we'll have another victory. And I think if I was Joshua or the Israelites, I'd be like, well, why can't we just do the Battle of Jericho every single time? You know, like, why can't we just get up and march and have all of our victories look like that? But the Lord has different methods in our battles, and it's the same in our lives. Because if we saw God work so methodically in the same way every single time, if he showed up and gave us victories every single time the same way, I think that we would stop looking to him and we would just fall into this methodical rhythm. And God likes to keep us on our toes. More importantly, God likes to keep us looking to him for the plan, looking to him for the answers, looking to him for the victory. I think it's so common that Christians who have been walking with the Lord for a long time think they know how to win these battles, think they know how to walk with the Lord. Like, it's just, oh, I'll read my Bible, I'll pray. And God is like, no, I have specific plans, specific details on how we are going to overcome some of the biggest battles in your life, some of the biggest giants that we need to slay in your life. And the next thing that God tells Joshua in his plan for the big battle that they're about to fight is to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots. So not only like are you going to win, Joshua, but afterwards you're going to have all this extra armor and resources. I want you to burn it. I don't want you to use it. I don't want you to keep it for yourself. And I Googled this to see if there was somewhere else in the Bible where God talked about, chariots and horses. And funny enough, in Psalm 20, verse 7, it says, some trust in horses and some trust in chariots, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And that is so true, and it is so crucial. We cannot try and depend on our resources. We can't try and store up for the future. We have to rely on God to give us our daily bread. He promises us our daily bread. He promises not to fear because he's going to show up. So I hope this battle and this promise that God prepared Joshua for and the Israelites to win just encourages you. And maybe you're in a season where you're going against a battle and you don't see how God's going to come through this. Well, that's the kicker, is God is going to provide another way out. He might have already brought you through so many things, but it's not necessarily going to look like the victory that you just previously had or had 10 years ago. The victory is coming, but it's going to be God's way and not your way. I want to remind you that our evening weekend services are going to be available for you starting later today, so make sure you check it out. And until next time, bye church. Miss you guys.